What is up, guys? My name is David and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be ranking the entire MCU with the inclusion of WandaVision. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. Just to save time and speed things up a bit, we have 24 projects to talk about. I'm going to breeze through 24 and 11 and give more attention to the top 10. Coming in at number 24, no surprise to anybody, we have Thor: The Dark World. I don't really need to explain this, do I? It's Thor: The Dark World. Coming in at number 23 is the odd one out in the MCU, The Incredible Hulk. Just like The Dark World, I don't hate this movie, I just really don't enjoy it. And given that it's so disconnected from the MCU, it is very easy to skip during a rewatch. Coming in at number 22 and 21, this might be a controversial opinion, I don't know, are the two Ant-Man films. They're fun and enjoyable, but in my opinion, also extremely forgettable and bland. At number 20 is the movie Dude Bros Love to Hate, Captain Marvel. To put it quite simply, Captain Marvel is a very bland and poorly handled character. This has nothing to do with her being a woman or Brie Larson. I think Brie Larson is an amazing actress, but man, was the writing just off in this movie. Captain Marvel is a fundamentally unlikable character. Coming in at number 19 is Far From Home, and despite my issues with this movie, I think it's really cool that Disney Channel got to make an MCU film. And they held a writing contest and let a child write the script. I think that's really cool. 18 onward, I enjoy all of these movies, and coming in at number 18 is Thor. Really underrated, actually, just one that I don't really enjoy rewatching. Number 17 is Captain America: The First Avenger. I enjoyed this movie, and that's kind of all I have to say. Number 16, Doctor Strange. A really solid origin story that explores an interesting side of the MCU. Reason it's kind of low is because I simply enjoy the ones above this one more. 15 is one I'm constantly conflicted on, and that's Thor Ragnarok. It's enjoyable, it's fun, it's very cartoony, but it's almost too cartoony that kind of dampens the experience on rewatch. Thor hitting his head can only be funny so many times. At number 14, I have Iron Man 2. I know, this is a controversial take. I really enjoy the second Iron Man movie. It is really fun and it explores Tony's inner demons. I know there were flaws in here, obviously, but I personally really have fun with this movie. Continuing a really controversial opinion, at number 13, I have The Winter Soldier. Oh boy. This movie is technically amazing. It is really well written, shot, and the action is some of the best in the entire MCU. However, the complexity and extra stuff that some people see in this movie, I personally don't. It is fun, it's enjoyable, it's well made, but there are simply 12 other MCU projects that I like more. Staying on the controversial opinions, at number 12 is Iron Man 3. Just like Iron Man 2, I think that this is a very entertaining film that explores the character of Tony Stark really well. Also, for many people, the killer of this film is the Mandarin twist, and that has never bothered me. Also, this is not mentioned nearly enough, but this has some of the best dialogue in the MCU, and Robert Downey Jr. does such a great job bringing it to life. At number 11 is The Avengers. Revolutionary for its time, with some of the best banter in the entire MCU. However, the reason it's kind of low is because the action in this movie couldn't be more par for the course nowadays. It was revolutionary for its time, but I have grown up with crossover movies my entire life, so the final act isn't as mesmerizing as it was when it first came out. Regardless, this is still a fantastic MCU movie, and I respect this movie tremendously. I definitely respect it more than I enjoy it. Writing the script for this video made me realize how controversial my MCU opinions are. At number 10, kicking off the top 10, is Avengers: Age of Ultron. That is right, I like this one more than the first Avengers. I feel crazy discussing this film because I never understood why people think this is so inferior to its predecessor. Quite simply, this movie took the original Avengers movie and made it 10 times bigger, and this movie had the benefit of not having to waste time on setup. I agree that bigger is not always better, but for this one, I think it is. The plots, plural, are more interesting. This definitely has a lot more plots than the first Avengers, but I never saw that as a con. It can be convoluted sometimes, but I'm intrigued by all the stories that are happening and all the stories that are being set up. And Robert California being a villain is something I'm always going to enjoy.
Scream and your entire staff dies.
At number 9, we have Black Panther, one of the most mature and powerful films in the MCU. The tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman absolutely made me appreciate this film more, and I am not ashamed to admit that. After his passing, I realized the true legacy and how impactful and important this film was. And I don't think it's important just because checkmarks say it's important. The movie structures itself in a very concise manner that allows the themes and the beauty of this film to really be on full display. It is a tight and well-written story that allows true character development for our main characters. Black Panther, the main character of the movie, actually says this:
"You are wrong! All of you are wrong!"
What other Marvel movies has that? This is a really mature and thematically rich film. However, the CGI kind of sucks, especially at the end, man. That's kind of the killer of this movie. I think if that was touched up just a little bit more, this could be top 5 MCU. At number 8 is the one that started it all, Iron Man. From the perfect casting to the well-balanced tone to laying down the foundation of the entire MCU, this movie has so much to offer and does so much well. It's definitely one of the smaller scale movies in the MCU, but I love it for that because it can focus on the character of Tony Stark, something that I will always appreciate. At number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It takes what made the first film so great and tries to replicate underrated and does a pretty good job in my opinion. I think this movie struggles most with its comedy, just like Ragnarok, it can be funny to a fault. That being said, what I adore about this movie is the character development. This is a character-driven story. The characters drive the narrative. There is no true pre-established conflict. The conflict comes from the characters, and I think that's great. It allows the characters to turn into more than quippy superheroes. A prime example of this is Rocket, a quippy raccoon, gets phenomenal character development. I don't understand how you don't love this movie. At number 6, we have the MCU's take on a coming-of-age story, Spider-Man Homecoming. Looking at this film as just that, a film and not an adaptation, this is a brilliant teenage comic book movie. Self-aware, exciting, with amazing performances all around the board, especially from Tom Holland, and one of the best written villains in the MCU. Also, this film is highly rewatchable. Alright, here we go, let's get into the top 5. WandaVision is spectacular. It could have easily been a formulaic cookie-cutter Wanda adventure, but it was so much more. The MCU needed a fresh and inventive project, and this show delivered. It took what the other films set up and made a beautiful character study exploring grief. And just the creativity and style that this show oozed kept me coming back every week. And the last couple episodes were amazing. Episode 8 was an MCU masterpiece, beautifully exploring Wanda's grief. The finale was a little underwhelming. The writing, acting, and action was kind of cringy from time to time and far too often. Even though I wasn't really a theorist when it came to this show, I really didn't invest my time in any theories because they all sounded insane. I still didn't feel that catharsis and it didn't feel that satisfying, and I'm not really sure why. However, the final episode did have those moments where the show does what it does best and just pull on your heartstrings. The ending was a tad disappointing, but overall this was a phenomenal series. What I love most about this movie is how personal it is. Of course, it has amazing spectacle, but the reason why I think it thrives the most is because of how well written the drama is. Also, this movie fundamentally understands the characters it's working with. The drama never feels manufactured and does a great job getting us, the audience, involved and invested. And also, let's not gloss over the action. It is some of the best in the MCU. Like, how was this real life? The first half of the Infinity Saga finale gives us one of the best comic book movie villains of all time, Thanos. The team-ups are some of the best in the entire MCU, and the last 20 minutes of this film are comic book movie magic. God Endgame, a true cinematic achievement. This is a satisfying and truly epic conclusion to 22 films that span over 11 years. For having so much weight on its shoulder, it never buckles and it is a highly focused film. This is most evident in the structure of the film. It perfectly breaks down into 3 focused and distinct acts. Act 1, seeing the Avengers and the world grieve the snap. Act 2, fan service done right, and Act 3, comic book movie glory. Not to mention, this was by far the greatest theater experience of my life. However, what's holding back this film from being number 1 is honestly my fault. I burnt this movie out. I've seen it like 15 times or something ridiculous like that. I want my favorite MCU movie to be one I can constantly come back to, and that statement can't be applied to Endgame anymore, but it can be applied to Guardians of the Galaxy is incredible. James Gunn made one of the most, if not the most stylish and heartfelt comic book movie of the last decade. Despite its basic plot, seeing these broken, quippy superheroes find each other and become a family will never not be endearing and entertaining to me. The action is fresh and exciting, as well as the comedy, and the soundtrack is godly. Guardians of the Galaxy delivers in so many ways, and it's hard for me to properly articulate how much I love this movie and how much it has meant to me in the past couple months, but it is such a beautiful film that is so fresh and exciting and unique and is so insanely rewatchable, bringing it in at number 1. And there you have it, that is my ranking of the entire MCU. Let me know some of your favorite MCU movies in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, then you definitely will enjoy this channel, so please consider subscribing. That is all I got for you today, guys. I will see you in the next video. May the Force be with you.